Hi, everyone. Welcome to DevRunner. My name is Paul. I'm an endurance runner and an RRCA certified running coach. And this is Subscriber Spotlight, where I have conversations with inspiring runners to motivate you on your running journey. My guest today is a runner from the United Kingdom. His YouTube channel delivers ultra running adventures, beautiful views, thoughtful gear reviews, and lots of fun. It's my pleasure today to welcome Dan Runs to the show. Dan, thank you so much for being here.
No, thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure. I've been a fan of your channel for a couple of years now, as I told you when we were talking earlier. But it's going to be a lot of fun just to get your perspective on running throughout this interview. So
Sure.
yeah, I'm
always
really
honest, always truthful. Yep, you'll certainly hear it.
cool. Yeah, I mean this is going to be lots of fun. So what I'd like you to do, just to get us started, is just give everyone a short bio, who you are, where you're from, anything that you want people to know about you, like right from the get-go.
Sure. So yeah, I'm Dan. I've obviously got a very interesting creative YouTube name there with Dan Runs, which I stole from Harry Jones, if anybody follows him. And yeah, I'm over here in England and I'm on my sort of running journey, and I just document every day really that I've been running since I began. I thought it'd be a fun thing to do. So that's kind of me. That's my story. And I just treat social media as a bit of a laugh, bit of fun. Don't take things too seriously and just put it out there, really.
Gotcha. I mean, you come across so natural, and you always have, in your videos. So what you just said sort of makes sense. It makes sense. Like it's just kind of like just a good time. Don't take it too seriously.
Yeah.
I learn more from you in that regard every time I watch one of your videos. So hats off to you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun.
Cool. So just to continue on, I'd like to dig a little bit deeper into your athletic background, even pre-running. Just kind of go back as far as you want to.
Sure. In terms of any running, I didn't really do anything before I was about 30, I suppose. So I obviously ran at school, just the general, what we have over here is just sports day. So when you're younger, families come and watch you get beaten by the quickest kids, and they give you a little hug and tell you well done, but secretly they're seething inside that you didn't at least show the family up to be slightly better than you were. And so when I started my secondary school, I ran a little bit. The last time I recall running outside of this kind of running journey, I took part in 200 meters, and I put everything into it.
Wow.
To the point where I felt really dizzy. I lost because of course you move from a small school into a big school, and you realize that where you were maybe the second quickest at that small school, you're then dead last at this the next school. So that was the last time I did any sort of running whatsoever.
Wow.
I used to do a little bit of badminton on the weekends, did that for about a year and a half, just for fun. And then I did absolutely nothing with my life athletically for probably 10-15 years. And yeah, didn't think twice about it. It wasn't something that ever interested me. I wasn't really focused on any sort of teams, nothing like that. Didn't watch any sport, didn't do anything of that nature whatsoever. And then, yeah, I started running, which I'm sure we'll sort of talk more about. But the idea behind that was that it was as part of a kind of wanting to change my life, wanting to do something for me. And there was a turning point when I hit 30, although obviously I look much younger than that. Turning point when I hit 30, where I had a kind of a few things I wanted to do, and running was one of those things.
That's so cool. So what was it that sort of turned you towards running? Like once you were, like, as you said, like in that 30-year-old range,
Sure.
was it just like, well, I'll let you tell the story.
Sure. I mean, I'm always honest about this. I was having just a bit of a miserable time in life, I think, relationship, all that sort of random stuff going on. And I reflected one day and I just thought, right, I'm now kind of, if you like, by myself. I need to just sit down. What do I want to do in my life? I've spent the last 5, 6, 7 years doing things for other people and going down that kind of that train and that journey that you don't necessarily want to be on. And I sat down and I thought, what do people do? People who do this kind of bucket list thing, what is the deal with that? So I sat down and started looking, okay, people skydive. So I went and did that. People,
Wow.
yeah, people visit the Grand Canyon. So I did that. That was kind of part of the same trip. I went to Grand Canyon, and then I was staying in Vegas, and I did a skydive there.
Wow.
And the other thing was people run a marathon, and I want to say that 4 or 5 years ago, when we talk about marathons, it didn't seem to be as much of a thing as it is now.
Yeah.
It feels
Yeah.
a lot more common, this idea of running a marathon, than it did then. So I signed up for a marathon without any knowledge of what it took, and began that
Wow.
journey.
So
But I had absolutely no idea what it entailed.
I was going to say, you're right into the deep end. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. It was very, very much, I've seen this thing online, let's just sign up. And because I paid the money for the event, I felt like I was invested in it rather than just talking about it.
Yeah.
I think investing financially, certainly for me at the time, I wasn't going to lose that money for sure. It wasn't a lot of money, but it didn't matter. I put my money down, I will get to the end of it. And so that's what it was all about. But I really had no idea what running looked like for me, what it would be like, whether I could or couldn't do it, or what it entailed. It was just completely random, off this bucket list.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I have to ask you, which race was your first marathon and how did it go?
So it was a Brighton Marathon, which is along the coastline in England, sort of down south, about an hour and a half away from where I am.
Okay.
Which I visited because you go down there, it's got a pier, you eat donuts, you play in the arcade. That was my experience of Brighton. I couldn't really even visualize what the race would be like, apart from possibly running along the seafront. So I went into that race, again, no idea about pacing. I wasn't even wearing the right shoes. It turns out I was wearing stability shoes, and I'm a neutral runner.
Oh, wow.
I really was, in some respects, all the gear, no idea. The training I did with my uncle, who had run a London Marathon a number of times, and I was going with the flow. Like typical first timer, my first 10 miles, 16 miles, 20 miles were all done as part of that first block.
Yeah.
There was no base built before that. It was very much plan to run it, have a go. In my mind, I started hearing this idea that, under 4 hours, that's what people do. Okay. And I realized that actually is not what people do. That is relatively rare for somebody with zero experience to train over a course of weeks and do that. So it was going really well up until about probably about 16 miles. There were some long stretches of tarmac road, and it just went on and on and on. And it was, I'll be honest with you, it was boring. It was really uninspiring. And I started to get in my head, as you do when you're early on in your running journey. And it just took over. And then along the seafront, it was really windy. I wasn't strong enough. Wasn't strong enough to defeat the wind, if you like. And so I didn't stop, which was my main aim. I didn't want to stop. I wanted to keep moving. So I went from running to jogging to struggling. But I got it done in about 4 hours 20, something like that. 4 hours 20, something like that. And my family were there. It was really special. The actual moment of crossing the finish line was very, very emotional. The whole thing was incredible. And then as you develop as a runner, the really sad thing about it is, even in talking about that story, I've regretfully mentioned a time. I've suggested that pace was important. And that kind of kills me inside, really, that I took this bucket list experience and I've only really dwelled on it and become a bit of a downer about it the more experienced I am as a runner. But actually, I think it's important to remember that the achievement is still really, really significant. And I remember when I crossed the finish line, there was one of the volunteers said, "Oh, you're one of 3% of people in the world, or 1%, whatever it is, who have completed a marathon." And that hit me. I was like, "Oh, wow, that's pretty special."
Oh, it's just a major accomplishment in its own right. And the time, exactly, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's looking back myself, when people were telling me before I ran my first marathon, they said, just don't worry about the time, enjoy the experience. You only get one first time. And, it's so true. It's so true. It's like, you hear that a lot, but that's what it's all about. It's just the experience of moving your body that distance and surviving it is amazing. But Dan, let me ask you this. I wanted to ask you about the highlights of your running journey so far, but before we kind of go there, or if you want to include this all as one answer, how did you go from road marathons into the ultra world? Was that like an immediate, I want to go further, I want to go different terrains, or did you just kind of grow into that in a different way?
Not really. I did a second marathon, so I came off the back of that first one, and I really felt like I could do more, and I picked a flat, fast marathon route for the following year, and I trained hard for it. It was an amazing training block, and I wanted to go under 4 hours because that's what I thought happened. People did one marathon and then focus on a goal for another marathon. That's what we just did. Again, still not really too much of a clue about the bigger picture of running. I did that second marathon, came in over 4 hours again. It was an open stretch of river, and there was a lot of wind, one of the windiest days of the year typically, and again, not strong enough. So that didn't pan out. And I started thinking afterwards, why am I doing this? I'm trying to chase a time, and I didn't enjoy any of the beauty of the experience whatsoever. And is this what running's all about? So I then started to look about maybe a month or two later into this idea of running something trail based. Again, I didn't even know the terminology, it was trail based, but I looked for local events, and there was one that ran a loop around my kind of local extended area, and that was a 40 miler.
Wow.
And what I liked about it was that it said on the website that people can walk it, and I thought, well, this sounds great. And I started to run a little bit more off road. Again, at this point, I'm starting to explore some running shoes, but still not really a clue. I'm just picking stuff I like the look of and hoping they fit. I bought a pair of women's shoes. They were amazing. And again, it was only further down the line I realized this colorway is not available for men. And then I spotted it online for women. But yeah, I thought this might be something for me, because then I can actually enjoy it. I know I'm not the quickest. I just don't feel like I'm very quick. I don't feel like I can get there, and it's hurting my experience of running. So yeah, I just sort of moved into that, and I came more or less last. They were actually packing away when I came over the finish line. I was one of the last people there, which was great. And then I thought, let's just go again. And I picked a 50 miler. The idea was, I'm just going to go big. If it's the last thing I do, I'm very content with that.
Gotcha.
And that's what I did. It was I just thought, I'm a human being. I might as well give these things a go. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I'm not going to win, and I don't really care if I come last, but I do want to finish.
See, that is exactly the right attitude. That's why I love watching your channel, because it's like it's a chance for me to realize why I should be running, because I still, anybody who watches my channel knows that I get caught up in the times a little bit too much sometimes. And it's just nice to be able to step back and realize, Dan's got the right attitude. He's enjoying the experience of being out there. And, that's why one of the big reasons I wanted to have you as a guest today is to shine a spotlight on you and your channel. And everybody, just take a minute, pause this. Go over to Dan's channel, get subscribed, because amazing adventure, beautiful views of the countryside and the woodlands around him, and good gear reviews, everything. Just so get over there, get subscribed, come back and watch the rest of this. But Dan, what do you consider the highlights of your running journey? Like, as you continued to build your mileage, I want, once again, I'm going to back away and just let you answer that the way you want to.
So just talking about the trails briefly. So in running local trails, and I have to thank at this point, so Ben Notley, Ben runs his channel, and I run in a local running club, which I kind of was part of a three-piece that started out with Guildford Trail Runners. The reason why that's so significant is because when you explore local trails, in some respects, you need other people to show you the way, because those same trails that I've learned to run on are the same trails I can take my family on. Yeah. And you see these viewpoints and stuff like that. So just kind of leaning into your point about the beautiful views, that's only as a result of spending time with other local runners who have got that insight into, this is what you can actually do with your body, this is where you can end up. So in building that kind of little miniature community there and talking to those people, I think the big highlight for me is probably, it is my first marathon in some respects. But the first 50 miler I did was really important to me because it humbled me massively. I went into it what turned out to be very, very underprepared for the significant hills. It was a really emotional day because there were many times where I just thought, this is really difficult for me. I got injured about, I can't remember how many miles, maybe 18 miles in. I just twisted my knee, slipped in the mud, twisted my knee, and it ruined what the race could have been for me in terms of a time. And then it was just about being really gritty and getting it done. And it's not about running through pain or anything like that, but I was just running on that kind of feeling of, I came here to complete it. And one of three things can happen. I'm going to complete it. I'm going to complete it and miss the cutoff, or I'm going to get picked up in the bus, the chaser pack, because for being too slow. But what I'm not going to do is walk off the trail and call it a day, because that's not what this is about. And what I started to do during that race was just look around me. I'm exploring the local area. For the majority of the time I was walking. So there's nothing better than to just look around. And we had a moment where there was a torrential downpour, and I'd spent some time. When you're no good at this stuff, I'm trying to put a rain jacket on, I'm messing about, I'm wasting time. I just about got it on, zipped up, walk out, and the rain stops. But this light drizzle remains, and there's this incredible rainbow. I've got a picture somewhere on Instagram, incredible rainbow that just appeared over the hills. And I've been, at this point, running, walking, jogging for about 9.5 hours, 10 hours. I'm a bit of a mess. I just thought, that moment, if I'd finished an hour ago, I would have missed it. Yeah. And if I'd been slightly further up the track, or if I'd been a bit more efficient in my gear, I would have missed it as well. And that race, it proved to me that I can push myself to what seems like a ridiculous place in terms of the mileage, the stamina, all that kind of stuff, that I simply did not feel was possible. The marathon I thought was achievable. The 40 miles, again, I thought was achievable. 50 miles, I felt like this is going to take something internal, inside, in the heart, not necessarily the brain, because the brain just tells you to give up, but in the heart, that determination to keep pushing forward. So that was a special race for me. And yeah, that's the one that in my video, I cried at the end, because it just, wow, just something. It was very, very odd. Even filming, you're there with a GoPro, and you feel a bit silly sometimes anyway, because most people don't do that, which is a shame. And then I just got really overwhelmed, because I started talking through what I was just done. I was near to the finish. And at that point, I realized this race actually means a lot more to me than I thought it did. Yeah. Where the other races were emotional, but more because I'd done it. This was emotional because of the process, and knowing that I had achieved something that actually, there were many times during the day where I thought, oh, is this even possible? I'm out of my league here. The first 50 miler was a big one for me.
Yeah, it's almost like a journey of like self-actualization, just like, yeah, I'm able to push myself.
Yes.
And that's what makes me want to go into the ultra world myself. And I keep promising the people who watch my channel that eventually I'll get there. But I'm still chasing numbers at this point. But
yeah, I think there's always time to do that. And like I said, there are so many races in the UK, in England. There seems to be a lot of races built around a cutoff. Whereas from my understanding, there are races more so in America, Canada, and wider afield, that allow you to just run the race, and you finish. Some people finish 3 days later, and that's just accepted, that's okay. And I think if you're going for an ultra, to anybody out there, if you're feeling a bit worried about it, try and pick something that allows you to take your time. And that may well be not in your home country, but I think the pressure sometimes of a cutoff can just put a little bit of extra pressure on you that you don't need if it starts to go a little bit sideways. So that's just a thought. And in that respect, it means everyone can have a go at an ultra.
Exactly, which is the way it should be. I mean, it's just, usually, the most famous ultras anyway are in such beautiful places. It's like you want the opportunity to just look around, and just experience it, But Dan, let me ask you, what motivates you now? What are your future goals in running?
So it's an interesting one. I thought about this quite a lot. So when I started my YouTube channel, again, you might come onto this, but I'll just say it now. When we started my YouTube channel, the idea was to document my journey for my future self. And that was always the intention. When I filmed for the future me. I had no interest in filming for an audience because I didn't know there would ever be an audience. So my early videos are just me embarrassingly kind of holding a phone here up my chin, because I don't want to be doing this, because people weren't doing that. It really wasn't a thing. And so in watching my videos back, I recognized that was my thought process. Now I've got a daughter. She's just over 1 years old, and I haven't subjected her to my videos yet, as much as I'd like to say, go on, look at this video, look at him go. I feel like it might be quite an empowering thing for her in the future to be able to see some of my struggles, because all my videos go up, even the tough times. It's a thought of mine. It may not be like that, but I'm now thinking about, it's still my future self, because I like to reflect on it, but also her, because sometimes it's hard to articulate, I think, to a younger audience, especially obviously to children, what that struggle maybe feels like. But if you show them what it looks like, that might be something they can connect with. So that's my thought at the moment. And in terms of goals and motivation, I've come a little bit unstuck with that more recently, because I've put, I put something out there that I want to try and do, and actually it's really silly of me, because that's not the way I like to work. It's nice to put something kind of into the atmosphere and be accountable, but actually it was kind of said with less thought than I wanted to put into it.
Okay.
So I'm still just trying to be me, put myself out there, documenting the good, the bad, and everything in between, and hopefully inspiring, first and foremost, which sounds quite selfish, inspiring my own little one. And if it inspires audience as well, that's fantastic. And it sounds odd to say, but I'm still filming for me. This YouTube channel is still mine, and if no one ever watched the video again, it will still remain as being a content driven, my face, my journey, and that's it.
No, that's wonderful. I think that's why it comes across so genuinely and so thoughtfully and so non-hyped. You know what I mean? It's just like, we're going along with Dan and we're just enjoying the journey, and you come across very well. And I by the way, find your motivations to be able to share the emotional journey with your daughter just beautiful. I just absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. I'm going to switch gears with you a little bit, sir.
Sure.
I want to ask you if you do any strength training or cross training.
No, don't do any.
Wow.
I know that I should. And it's one of those things, isn't it? People tell you to stretch, tell you to warm up, and you say, yes, absolutely, I'll do that. And before every race, I'm that guy in the corner doing the leg swings. I'm making it look like I know what I'm doing, but I can assure you, I've got no idea. What I've started doing is, when I'm brushing my teeth, I will do squats for the sort of duration of that, or I've tried to find some little exercises I can do. And because it's sort of like time bonded and it's linked to an activity that I'm going to be doing daily, I feel like I can always guarantee that's going to happen. It would be quite hard to do press ups brushing your teeth, but that kind of thing where I'm looking for an activity that can be guaranteed. So I've started with some squats, and I'm sure I'll progress from there into something else. But it's not about, I don't do what I should do. I used to belong to a gym, and I used to do on this, like the stair climber there.
The stair stepper.
I used to absolutely love that. That was my one thing I really loved. And then there was a girl next to me when I was at the gym, and she was there for 2 hours. I looked at the little clock. I said 2 hours. I thought, oh, I'm not even good at that. No, let's just get off here. It's embarrassing. So I don't do anything really. Don't do any strength training at all, apart from holding a GoPro. That's quite a skill, isn't it? That can certainly build a bit of muscle in the arm. There's only one arm.
Exactly.
It's only one arm. So no, I don't do anything. I should. And to everybody watching, yes, do the strength training, but I don't do anything.
Well, I'll tell you what, I truly appreciate the honesty. See, this is what I'm talking about, folks. It's just straight up with Dan. There's no messing around. It's just the real deal all the way. So Sir, I think you've kind of already answered my next question, but I'm going to give you a chance maybe to dig a little deeper into it if there's anything else you'd like to share.
Sure.
I'm just kind of interested in what got you started with YouTube. I mean, was there any interest in sort of like sharing it with the rest of the world? Because I know you said you did it mostly for yourself and for your daughter, but
Yeah, so I was already consuming content on YouTube for running. So I'd watched some videos by who I mentioned earlier, Harry Jones, Harry Runs on YouTube, and Seth, and Sage Canaday. They were the first three people that I was watching and online, just understanding really. Oh, they do running, and at the time, and still though, I'm still vegan, but I typed in that, I think, to see if it was a thing.
gotcha.
And so for whatever reason, these people came up. Not that they are vegan. Harry Jones is, Sage, I believe, is vegetarian, and Seth isn't. But that all came about. So I started watching those people, and I thought, I really like the idea of being able to store the, if you like, the gigabytes of data of filming online.
Yeah.
Because I haven't got the hard drive space for this. And you start filming with a GoPro, even with a phone, you suddenly fill up all your storage space. So I was thinking, I can get it stored online for free. And it's good for me to be able to share. What I didn't mention earlier was, so my marathon, none of my family had any idea that I had a YouTube channel or anything like that.
Okay.
And my intention was, when I finished my first marathon, to send a link in the family chat and just say, hey, you know, here's my YouTube channel. I never did that in the end. I just kept it completely for myself, because I also thought, I'm not kind of ready to share it yet. So the world knew about my channel before my family did.
That's
and
very interesting.
it's only recently they actually found out that I had a channel. So it very much was this kind of organic, this is just me putting it out to the world. I suppose there's that kind of slightly, I don't know, not egotistical, but there were people like Casey Neistat, for example, filming, and I thought, wow, what a cool guy. Maybe if I do that, I could be just as cool. And it turns out, no, that's not the case. But I wanted kind of that experience of what people were doing. And I keep referring back to, it seems very normal now, but people 4 years ago, 5 years ago, they really weren't doing that. You go for a run, you're not going to see people with a GoPro. You're not going to see people filming with a phone. It was quite abnormal. Now it is more of the norm, isn't it? People have got the cameras, and that you go to park runs and whatever, and you see it all the time. But it was just start a channel and put videos up there for storage space, because my phone wasn't very good.
Gotcha. All right, Dan. What I like to do at this point in the interviews is surprise people a little bit. And I'm going to play a little game, if you're willing, called This or That. And what I like to do is present a set of choices, either A or B, and just have you quickly choose your option. And if you want to justify your answer, feel free. Otherwise, we can just roll into the next one.
Sure. Okay.
Cool. So first one, roads or trails?
Trails.
Okay.
Yeah, I just think I find roads quite boring, and I think the trails have got a bit more to offer. And apparently, it helps you stay injury free. So I've heard.
Yeah, works your muscles in different ways, I would assume. So yeah.
There we go. Yes, voice of reason there. There we go.
Cool. So for the next one, training or racing?
Ooh, I think racing is the celebration, isn't it, for the training that you've gone through. I think the training has a lot more of the ups and downs, and more of a realistic picture of what running can be. Take over 16 weeks, for example. Whereas racing, there's so much on the day. It's either a good or a bad day, isn't it? Sadly. So I think the training gives you an opportunity to bounce back, to have those good times and learn from the more difficult times. So I think, yeah, training for sure.
Wonderful answer. Okay. Next is Brooks or Hoka?
Oh, right. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So I've got a Hoka for sure. That's what I use all the time, but I have to give a nod to Brooks, because Brooks were the shoes that got me started in running. The women's Caldera. A little nod to you. Thank you very much. The stability shoe. Thank you very much. That was the Adrenaline GT, I think the 16, and the Brooks Glycerin. So there you go. Still hold you dear in my heart, but you no longer feature on the shoe rack. So I think it is Hoka.
Okay. I thought you'd answer that way, but I wanted to give you the opportunity.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
So let me ask you just one more, and then we'll move on to the next question. Heart rate training or training by feel?
Oh, I think my heart rate training is awful. I only use the watch's heart rate, so I think it's either accurate or it's completely off. So I think running by feel is fine. I mean, I sometimes look at the heart rate data and I don't really know how to interpret it really. All I know is that when I look at my heart rate at work, it's a lot more elevated than I want it to be. And when I'm resting on the sofa, I'm either very, very fit or close to death. So yeah, I just go with the flow with what the watch says. So training by feel is the answer there.
Gotcha. I like that answer too. So let me ask you, Dan, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here. I'd like you to share something that your viewers might not already know about you.
Well, I've been thinking about this while I was looking at the background there. So you can also share a little bit with me here about the guitars you've got. So
Okay.
I say I play guitar. I played guitar self-taught, and so that's kind of fun. And then the memory I've got linked to the guitar really is that at Christmas time, the big guy with the beard delivered a guitar to me. It was a SG, not Gibson, Epiphone.
Okay.
And I jumped off the bed Boxing Day, and my brother is a really fantastic drummer, and he had his drum kit in the room, and I smashed and took a massive chunk out the bottom of it, and
No.
gutted. I still have that guitar to this day, but every time I look at it, it's got some wood glue on it now, but every time I look at it, I just think that was nearly a pristine guitar. And I just, yeah, I messed up. I enjoy playing guitar, but my brother is the musician. He's very, very talented, and I'm just a bit of a hanger-oner. But can we talk about your guitars? Just briefly, maybe this is in a video I haven't seen on your channel, but I'd love to just find out a little bit more about what is hanging on the wall there.
Oh yeah, it's just, well, it's part of my collection. It's the pretty ones in the collection. So let me see if I can duck out of your way here. Yeah. Yeah, at this point, I've been playing since I was 17, but it's in the last few years they're more wall decoration than they are actual working instruments, I have to admit. But yeah,
It's very cool. Yeah, I that's great. Like you said, they're like a work of art, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
It's what you want. It's what you want hanging on the wall. And what's not, I like a tactile thing as well. I don't have my medals displayed because I don't find them that interesting to really look at after the event. But when I see your display there, and before I moved into this family home when I was a single bachelor, and living life to the max, sat at home eating chocolate and thinking about how to make myself fitter, I had my guitars on the wall and my posters, all that kind of stuff, and I love all of that. But you move into a family home and there are some sacrifices made, which is anything that you like gets hidden away, and anything that they want gets put on show.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I mean, yeah, if it wasn't for this, spare bedroom, they would never be up on the wall. So, I do have to ask you this though. I do want to dig a little bit deeper. Are you still playing, like, even for your own pleasure, like at this point, or?
So I sold my amplifier and I sold my acoustic guitar. So I only have 2 electric guitars now. And when I moved house, we moved in a little while ago. They're in the cupboard, and I have got them out more recently, just to have a little kind of tinker around with. And in the last few years, when I've been at work, they kind of put together little kind of bands for a bit of fun, and they had somebody come in and do, they learn a couple of songs with them, and that was really good fun to kind of get back out there and have a little play around. I'm by no means brilliant or anything like that, but it has been quite a fun thing to do, and it's one of those slightly regretful things. I wish I had a bit more time to do it. And like everything, it requires a lot of dedication. It's quite similar to running in the sense that if you put the time in, you're going to become better at it. And I was just self-taught. So I was going with the flow, looking up tabletry online, couldn't read music, listening to my favorite tunes, buying the music book, realizing I still couldn't read it, closing the book, going online and hoping that somebody else had, written it down in simple form, just like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
zeros and crosses and whatever's, ones and twos and threes. So yeah, I don't play as often as I'd like to, but I think again with my little one around, she likes to grab stuff, so it's not out on display. But when she
yeah.
gets a little bit older, I think I'd like to just get like a little maybe travel acoustic, just so I can sit and we can have a little play. She might be musical, she might not be, but I think it'd be quite nice. I always had music in my family growing up, and yeah, I'm kind of already a bit sick of the cartoons and the repetitive music that we hear at the time.
Uh-huh.
So I'm just trying to gently lean her towards a little bit of culture when it comes to music. But I realize she is only one. It's probably a bit unfair. She needs to have her moment. But as soon as she's over that moment,
Yeah, yeah.
I'll start bringing out a little bit of quality music for her ears. But that again, it's a very personal thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
What
no,
is and isn't
I
quality
love
music?
hearing that. I think that's a wonderful way to share family time and to just expand the horizons of kids. It's just, yeah, music is, obviously special to me too. So I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah,
Cool. So
cool. Yeah, I love music. Love music.
I'm glad to hear that. That's something we have in common in a big way. So I'm going to switch gears back to running a little bit. And in a philosophical way, though, I want to ask you how running has changed your life for the better.
Yeah, so I mean, the immediate answer is certainly for my health. I feel like it really it's supported my transition into becoming a healthier adult. I wasn't in a particularly good place with my health, and so that's just given me a bit more of a steer in the right direction.
Mhm.
Certainly for well-being, mental health, I think it's probably done more for me than I realize. I do know that there are times when I feel like I need to go for a run just to whatever's in my head. The idea behind my run is that when I leave the house, I can think about it while I'm running, but when I come back home from the run, that the door is closed on those thoughts. So I leave them outside, and that was the space to think about them. That's my time to reflect and do whatever I need to do, scream, shout, whatever it might be, work through it. And when I come back in the door, again, even more important now with the family, that thought, all those thoughts are left outside. So I think it's probably helped me in more ways than one. Um, and also just that feeling of accomplishment. And again, it sounds quite selfish, but it's the personal achievement. Sometimes in life, I think it's hard to feel maybe successful at work or successful in relationships or all those different things. But when you can achieve something, a goal, which could be a small goal of a 5K, 10K, or whatever the distance or time bonded achievement is, that personal feeling of achievement is really hard to get in a lot of places, but running does allow that to happen sometimes as frequently as you need it to happen if you're looking to always sort of chase a goal all the time. So I think a lot of things have probably been beneficial to me without me realizing it, and it might only be in the next 5-10 years when I reflect back on my life that I realized that linked to running, I was able to be successful in other areas of my life as well.
Wonderful answer. Wonderful answer. And I love the fact that you pointed out the importance, not just of the physical benefits of becoming a runner, but also the way it helps your mindset. And I don't think it's selfish at all to have that time to yourself. I think in order to be more valuable to the people that matter in your life, you
Yeah,
first have to take yourself seriously, I think, and sort of sort out your own bugaboos, you know. Um,
yeah,
so great
yeah,
answer.
absolutely. I know that it makes me a better human being, better partner, better father, to have those moments. And there are times when even my partner will say to me, it's time to go for a run. And I might not realize it myself, but maybe for whatever reason, it's all started to come to the surface. And I just need to shake off what I'm thinking about, which is primarily work, to be honest with you, as things happen at work. Just shaking that off and sort of coming back round ground zero and go, right, let's continue the rest of our day. And I feel amazing for it. And again, it's kind of a nod to her for being so supportive. She didn't know me when I started running, but she's only ever known me as a runner since we've been together. And she supported me with all of those goals. And it does, I think the people around you, if you're in that position, it does take a toll on them. And there are a lot of sacrifices that they make that, again, they may not be aware of. And as much as you make the sacrifices, so do they, because there are hours they can be without you. So yeah, I think it does, thinking about running, what is also supported is a stronger kind of family unit, if that makes sense.
No,
I think
absolutely.
kind of, the people, that people around you are there in support of you, and that sometimes is quite hard to recognize, but you do something big like training for a race, and they've been there with you throughout it, and at the end, and you suddenly think, actually, this person, how special is this person to do it? Because a lot of people would just say, I'm sick of you. But to allow you to chase that dream of yours is something that, we're lucky if we're in that situation.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I can't, I probably don't say enough about the support of my wife and family to allow me to be a runner, who's out there for way too long every day. But yeah, point well made.
Yeah.
I want to ask you this, Dan. What's your favorite? This doesn't have to be like the ultimate answer, but in your opinion, what would you consider your favorite piece of advice for other runners?
Okay. So one piece of advice I think is really important is, unless you are Kipchoge, for example, and even that, actually, this piece of advice is still true for him. There will always be somebody faster and always be somebody slower than you. So just focus on yourself. And that's it, really. And I don't listen to that advice. I know I don't. There's so many things I could say, all these wise words, and I know I don't listen to it. But ultimately, in a worldwide environment, there will always be somebody faster, always be somebody slower. So get that out of your mind altogether and just channel all your energy into developing yourself, whatever that looks like for you. That's the main primary focus that you should have every time you walk out the door.
Wonderful advice. Yeah, I always think of, to paraphrase what you're saying, I always try to compete with myself yesterday. I'm not worried about everybody else because I can't be everybody else. So there's no point. But well said, sir. Well said, sir. Dan, I want to take this opportunity right now to thank you for being here. It was every bit as wonderful a conversation as I was hoping it was. I think you're a wonderfully thoughtful human being. I enjoyed your answers, and I know everybody who's going to watch this is going to really enjoy it as well. Before I let you go, I want you to take the opportunity to share where people can find you throughout social media, and whatever you bring up now, I will share in the show notes so people can just click and get there nice and quick.
Sure. So my YouTube channel is Dan Runs, and YouTube now got the new URL thing, haven't they? So my URL is actually Dan Runs. So I've got that, secured that account. Instagram is Dan Runs Vlog, because when I started it, I couldn't have Dan Runs. That's somebody else who's inactive, but they won't give up the name. So Dan Runs Vlog. I think I've got a Twitter account, never use it. And I think I've got a Facebook. You're welcome to join on there, but again, I probably won't be on there very much. Yeah, just if you want to DM me on Instagram, you can do that. It's a bit of a parody account of social media. I just have a bit of a laugh on there. But I'm always open to people getting in contact, by the way, because some people feel a little bit nervous about leaving comments in the YouTube chat feature, or comment box, wherever it might be. So I always just say to people, I'm on social media to be contactable, and I'm just a normal person. So if you want to ask any questions, go for it. And sometimes I'll just type back, sometimes I'll just send a quick audio note back. Yeah, they're the two places, really. YouTube if you're interested, and Instagram if you want to have a bit of a giggle and just take life a little bit less seriously.
Very cool. Very cool. Dan, once again, thank you for being here. It was awesome talking to you. And
it was great.
Yeah, we'll speak again soon. Thank you.
Absolutely. It was awesome. Thank you so much.
Cool.
Thank you.
Have a great one.